What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, Clint McLean, and we are here breaking down this Saturday's UFC event. We are hanging out in Jacksonville, Florida, once again for another card. I'm pretty stoked to be doing this. We had the weigh-ins this morning for the Wednesday card tomorrow. My dad is fighting. We've got plenty of action to get to it on Wednesday. I'm so stoked. You guys can't believe how excited I am for this thing. I'm going to go ahead and give it a minute here. We've got to get some people roll on in. It looks like the stream is up and working. This is the first time that I'm going live solo this way, and I think this might actually be the future of the show. So if you're having a good time, if you're enjoying this, make sure you comment down below. Let me know. Show me some love. I think interacting with you all and then doing this thing live like that and allowing people to listen to it or watch it later if they missed the live show, probably kind of the wave of the future here for the Die Hard MMA podcast. StreamYard has made it possible for me to do a lot of stuff that I couldn't do before very easily and then export that over to YouTube afterwards. So I'm pretty freaking excited about that. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of the casual stuff we have to do out of the way every single week. Once again, thanks for jumping on. I really appreciate you all tuning in and being here with me. Couple of shout outs here. I've got to give a big thank you to Michael Lunday and my boy Cole de Shazir, which, man, I know you gave me that nice little breakdown of how to pronounce your last name. I'm probably still butchering it, but thank you both very much. As you all know, I'm a one-man show over here. Tips and donations are always appreciated, and both them locked up winning nights from our picks last Saturday at UFC 249. What a freaking night. That was such a good event, such a fun night. We ended up going 2-2 plus 2.5 units. That was a fantastic spot for us, hitting that three-leg parlay and free rolling straight into the main event. I could not have asked for a better outcome, so I was really, really stoked. It's so good to have MMA back. It's so good to be able to turn on the TV and watch UFC. I'm really hoping the world gets spinning again and this whole COVID crisis goes away. That would be very nice. And this midweek card we've got coming up just tomorrow, that's going to get us over that hump. Now, I've been tweeting out action left and right. So if y'all have been following me on Twitter, if you're not, go ahead and do it now. At Die Hard MMA Pod is my Twitter handle. Anytime I lock in a play, I tend to do it when I stream the podcast. That's when I go official on it. But if there's a line that I want to hit, if there's a move I want to make and I'm worried it's going to get away from me, I will tweet it out. So that's when you know. That's when you get the information. If you feel like using my information and tailing, good luck to you all. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional sports bettor. I'm an absolute nerd who loves his UFC and a degenerate gambler. Lifetime, I am a bit positive here on my UFC betting, but I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to make you rich if you tail me. We're going to have a damn good time. I'm hoping to make you money, but I'm just sharing what I know. I do have to give a shout out. We have to send you over to the boys at goatcapitalsports.com. That's goatcapitalsports.com. They cover all the other major sports, and from what I'm hearing, we might be on the verge of MLB coming back. So baseball, basketball, football, when those things all come around, the sports that if I try to give you winners in, I'm just going to cost your wallets. They will be able to handicap those sports effectively, efficiently. Tell them Clint sent you. They went last week. I think they went 7-2 on the UFC 249, and they did a bet every single fight type of night. I love doing those kinds of things. It's a whole lot of fun. The fact they were able to do that and come out positive on the back end of it, it's good stuff. And from what I hear, they're doing it again tomorrow. I do not know what their official picks are, so go subscribe, check them out. They will love you forever if you mentioned the Die Hard MMA podcast sent you that way. So let's get on into the show. I think that's all the things that we had to cover. You know what? One last thing. We've had a bunch of new subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. We are at, I want to give you the right number here, 259 new subscribers total. Thank you all so much. Getting to 500 subscribers was a really big deal for me. That's a really tough mountain to climb, and that goal is 1,000. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2020 if I can. So if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, turn your notifications on so you know when I'm going live like this, and tell your friends. You know, if you know some people who are degenerate gamblers or just like the sport of MMA, send them my way. I want to shout out the couple of subscribers that we have gotten the last little bit here. Giovanni Beisdorf. We've got Matthew Fell. I think the P is silent. Lewis Colin subscribed. Thank you. Michael Mason for joining the Die Hard Horde here. We have got Carrie Cobertbean, Gabriel Correa, Matt Keenan, Roberto Cruz, Andre, and let me see. You know what? I kind of hate this on YouTube. I really wish they would give me an option to just show me my new subscribers so I could read you all off a list very nice, easily, and efficiently. Unfortunately, they mix all my notifications in with every single comment that comes through, which I love the comments. Keep those coming. Thank you for that. I'm not complaining, I promise. But it would be nice to not have to scroll through all my notifications to tell you who's the new subscriber so I can shout everybody out by name. We've got Travis Tarr and most recently MMA Punch. Welcome to the family. Thank you all for being here. Shout out to the chat. Danny, my boy, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in to the live show. I love StreamYard, this freaking thing, being able to bring up people's comments and stuff like that so I can interact and address with you guys live. So fun. So great. I am a huge fan of this platform. I'm looking forward to using it going forward. So it's going to be a little tough for me to keep an eye on the chat here while I pull up my stats and information, stuff like that. If I miss you, please forgive me. I do want to go over the weigh-ins this morning. I saw some good stuff, and I just want to give you my thoughts on it because the fight's tomorrow. This is the time to get that action in. Let's go over my action for tomorrow. I've got Hunter Azure. We locked him in earlier in the week at minus 165. Two-banger. We're going to go ahead and hit that twice because I am that confident. I think it's a really bad matchup for poor Brian Boom Kelleher. Right after he put money in our pockets, I'm going to go ahead and flip on him and go the other way. We have got Alexander Hernandez. Y'all know how I feel about that kid. I think he's hot. I think he's going to have, and I mean hot as in a hot prospect, sorry. And I think we're going to have an opportunity to make some money with him. His ground game, I believe that's the key here. So we've got him at plus 100. We've got Big Ben Rothwell, my daddy, plus 130. And then the second two-banger unit that I locked in is the Glover Teixeira and Smith fight going over 2.5 at plus 105. I love that one. Neither guy, I mean, Glover's getting a little bit older. He's got that finishing ability, but Smith is just so damn durable. And then Glover is so intelligent and smart with his defenses. I think he's going to be able to stay alive until the third round. So I love getting that plus money on that. And we're just going to have to sweat that one out. So hopefully we do well. And here's my read. This is what I was seeing on the weigh-ins. Hey, what's up, Gandhi? Thank you for coming in the show. Zane, thank you for tuning in. What are my safest picks for the Walt Harrison Overeem card? You're in the right place, my man. We're going to break down every single fight on the card and go through my picks. So I don't want to spoil the entire show by just rapid firing them out to you here right at the beginning. But thank you. Thank you for jumping in. So the weigh-ins this morning, Gabriel Mowgli Benitez surprised me with just how physical he looked standing next to Omar Morales. I am very, very tempted to throw a unit on him. He's a big underdog. I think he's plus 150 right now, and he is by far the better striker. The other thing is Omar Morales is older. I don't see him improving. I don't think he's getting any better, whereas Benitez is going to be improving week to week. And even though this might be a step-up fight, if there's no size discrepancy, I'm pretty sure there will still be a strength discrepancy. But Benitez is the better striker, and if he can chew up Omar's legs, he's not going to know what to do in there. That might be a very sneaky good dog play. Sarah Cheesecake Morris, she looked good. She's bigger than Sarge. I thought that Sarge was going to be the bigger, thicker woman there, and I was pretty surprised to see that Morris is, in fact, the bigger of the two of them. She looked like she was in pretty good shape. So another dog that might be live. Honestly, the next two cards are absolutely littered with live dogs. If you're an underdog better, my prediction over the next two cards is that a lot of them are going to be coming through. UFC 249 was pretty much solid favorites, favorite city. There were only two of them that did come through. We cashed in on Gaethje as a big one, but I think the underdogs are coming for revenge in these next two fight cards. Arlovsky, the size of him was surprising to me as well. I knew he was going to be bigger, but he looked a decent amount thicker. He was one that I was looking at as potentially betting as a dog. I didn't feel strongly enough to actually go ahead and lock it in, but that's another lean that the weigh-ins made me get just that much closer to maybe pulling that trigger. Marvin Vettori versus Robertson, the heat that they had in the stare down, the crap that they were talking to each other, getting in each other's faces, Dana had to step in and separate them. I love that. That's going to be straight fire. Those guys are going to bang until somebody drops. Hoping Vettori gets the submission there. That was another lean that I had, but I think I'm pretty comfortable staying off that one, just kind of passing. Throw him in a Hail Mail parlay, something like that. Hail Mary parlay. Sorry, not Hail Mail. Ray Borg isn't that much smaller. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed. I expected him to have a huge size disadvantage, and that's kind of why I passed on him. My boys, Justin and Kelton at UFC Bro Picks, the two that joined me on all of my other shows the last couple of weeks, they are both on Ray Borg as an underdog. And I think it's dog or pass. I absolutely think it's a dog or pass situation, but I haven't been able to quite get there because I was scared of that size difference. And he's just not as small as I thought he was going to be. So that fight is going to be, it's going to be legit. I'm going to be very curious to see if Borg can pull that off because I think he's going to make it very, very interesting. Hernandez and Dober, again, that's another fight that is also going to be straight fire. They got in each other's grills and they were going at it. I think Alexander Hernandez gets that choke. I really do. I love that bet on him. I am considering throwing on the under here. That is something that I'm very, very much keeping an eye on here. The under for Alexander Hernandez and Drew Dober right now is sitting at plus 145 or plus 150, and that floors me. That absolutely floors me. So my read on that fight is that Drew Dober comes out like he did against Nasrat Haqparast and wins early via knockout. Or Alexander Hernandez weathers that early storm, takes the beating, and then puts it on him in rounds 2 and 3. And we all know that Drew Dober doesn't really go to the judges' scorecards. If he's getting mauled on the ground, if he's getting tired, he gives up the rear naked choke. Not to mention how explosive and powerful my boy Hernandez is. He could finish this thing on the feet as well once Drew is tired and his defense drops a little bit. His ground and pound is sick. So under 2.5, if that keeps climbing, if I get plus 155 or plus 160 after that landslide of money comes in, that might be a late addition bet to my card for tomorrow. So I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on that one tonight and tomorrow morning. Lastly, my dad, Big Ben Rothwell, he looks thick. I know we've already got a bet on him, but watching him actually size up and face off with OSP, that made me feel a whole lot more comfortable. That heavyweight size, that heavyweight thickness, that's something you can't teach. And I think OSP is going to struggle with it once they get in the cage. And Glover looked damn good. I'm very close to locking in a dog play on Glover because same thing there. Money just keeps pouring in on Anthony Smith. Glover is all the way up to plus 165 right now. If he gets up to plus 180, I'm going to have no choice. That's going to be a straight value play that I'm going to be forced to pull the trigger on Glover if that price just keeps going up that way because he's super live here in this fight. So that's my breakdown of the weigh-ins. That's how I felt watching that this morning. I do love, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, being able to chill and watch these fighters weigh in and get ready to go at it. All right, Danny in the comments here is saying Hernandez by sub 9-1. Yep, I do like that. That would be worth a sprinkle. Good luck on Dober, buddy. I hate being head-to-head with you, but got to do what we got to do, right? I mean, it's just, it is what it is. We don't always have to agree in sports betting, and that's something that I like. I try to preach respect and stuff like that here on the podcast. Positivity. It's okay if you don't like my betting picks. That's all right. That's why there's two sides to the line. If we all agreed, life would be very, very boring. So let's get into Saturday's event, UFC Fight Night 172. We have a main event of Alistair Overeem taking on Walt the Big Ticket Harris. And we all know about the Walt Harris daughter situation. That makes this whole thing very, very interesting and very, very sketchy from a capping perspective because it's kind of hard to tell where the poor man's head is at with everything going on. And I hate to, put it that way, but we're sports bettors, right? Like we've got to look at it from every angle possible. And that is a legitimate angle. So I don't want to speak disrespectfully on it or anything like that, but we do have to consider it. Let's start, as always, at the bottom of the card. I like to work my way up the card and finish this thing with a finale at the end. We have got a heavyweight tilt between Rodrigo Nascimento and Dontel Kong Mays. It is fun when we start and end the night with heavyweights. Everybody loves a heavyweight match. These big old boys dropping bombs on each other. I can't wait. This is one that I didn't put a whole lot of effort into. I'll be honest with you. It just doesn't interest me that much. The line is very, very close right now. Let me see. We have got Dontel Mays, a minus 125 favorite. The comeback on Rodrigo is plus 105 at this point. And that I agree with that. I mean, really, we don't know anything about Rodrigo Nascimento. He looked good on the regional scene. He's 7-0. He's got 5 submissions. So he's kind of the first heavyweight I can think of since guys like Werdum and Frank Mir that have a 6 submission game. It is hard to be a big man and have a good ground offense and defense. And if he's got that, he's going to be something fun. I like him as an addition to the UFC, but I don't know if he's going to be able to put it to use here. He's taking on Kong Dontel Mays. And Dontel, He's training over at Jackson's MMA. He was struggling at the smaller gym that he was at. Well, I don't want to say struggling. He's had a bit of an up and down run to get to the UFC. He was on the Contender Series twice, but he won both of his Contender Series fights. So there's really no knock on him for that. Finally gets the call up to the UFC, and they throw him Cyril freaking Gane. What are you doing? Like, I know Cyril Gane's got to fight somebody, but poor Don'Tale Mayes. He gave a really good showing of himself in that fight, though. I really can't complain. He made it all the way until the third round. He got beaten to a pulp at the end of the first, and I thought that Cyril was going to TKO him in round one, but he dug deep. Mayes has got heart, man. He made it interesting in round two, and then he got caught on the ground in round three. Now, I don't know if Nascimento is, well, okay, first off, I don't think that Nascimento is nearly as athletic as Cyril Gane is, but I don't know if his ground game is as tight as Cyril Gane is either. So we're just going to kind of have to see how this one plays out. I have no idea how this is going to go. It could be an under. These guys could come out and drop each other right quick. Nascimento could snatch up a neck. Mayes is super durable, hits really hard. That nickname Kong is perfect for him. He lands big, big bombs, especially if this thing hits the ground and he scrambles and ends up on top. He could put Nascimento through the canvas. So, I mean, could be over quick. But just like the Gane fight, Mayes is tough, man. If he gets taken down or, uses his wrestling in reverse and keeps this thing standing, it could go all 3 rounds. I have no idea what to do with the over-under 1.5. If you made me make a pick, I'm going to go with Mayes. We've seen him before. We've seen him in the cage against a decently high-level opponent, and he's training with John Jones. I mean, you can't get a better training partner than that. I know that hasn't always worked out for everybody because let's face it, just because you train with somebody good doesn't mean that you are good. But I think Mayes has all the pieces. I think he's somebody who could turn into at least a half-decent prospect in the UFC going forward. So straight pass for me. I'm going to move right along on that one because there's not much else to say, and there's just so many questions. I'm very curious. That's going to be a fun one to watch so we get a couple of questions answered, right? The next fight is going to be Courtney Casey taking on Mara Romero Borilla. And this fight, I'm going to give little to no time on. I'll be straight honest with you. This is hot garbage. So Courtney Casey's 8-7. She's moving up a weight class. Mara Borilla is 12-7. And I was super big on Mara Borilla a couple fights back. I want to say when she fought, was it Michelle Watterson? No, it must have been Cynthia Calvillo. I can't recall. So there was a fight very recently where I talked Mara Borilla up and down. This girl is training out of American Top Team, which is one of the gyms I really like. Very intelligent coaches, good people surrounding her. She seemed to have a good striking ability, and she seemed well-rounded to me. She can get back to her feet. I was impressed. I was impressed with what I saw. But since then, she's just kind of laid an egg. And going back and rewatching that tape, I got fooled. I got sold some wolf tickets. It's true. So I do not want to put my money on Mara Borilla again. She is a plus 140 underdog. Being the bigger fighter, welcoming a fighter coming up a weight class, I can kind of see a dog or pass situation there. But like I said, Courtney Casey is hot garbage. Both these women are 1-3 in their last 4 fights. Neither one is bet on. That's all it comes down to. Neither one of these women is a bet on fighter. So unfortunately, we're just going to leave that one in the dust. Honestly, it's probably going to be a bad fight. I don't expect it to be very entertaining, but hey, that's what the prelims are for, right? We've got a banger coming up right after that should be nothing but straight action. So we can wash the taste out of our mouths with that fight right away. We've got Darren the Damage Elkins making his return to the cage, taking on Nate the Train Landwehr. Both of these guys are men that I have tried to make money on in the past with mixed success. I'll be honest. So Darren the Damage Elkins, when he took out Mirsad Bektik, Dennis Bermudez, and Michael Johnson, I was sold on this kid. So I don't think I bet him against Alexander Volkanovski, but I'm pretty sure I bet him against both Ricardo Lamas and Ryan Hall just because the skills are all there. I mean, I know his name is The Damage, and he takes an absolute ton of damage, but the skills are there. The toughness is there. The wrestling is there. It just seems like all those wars and all that effort, all that surviving barely in these fights has finally caught up to him, and we can't trust his chin anymore. He got knocked out clean by Ricardo Lamas, and in the Ryan Hall fight, he got hurt by a jab. That was something that just wide open eyes for me. You can't trust a man who's getting rocked by a jab, especially one coming from Ryan Hall. Now, If you're getting jabbed up by Jairzinho Rosenstruik, that's one thing. But Ryan Hall, no thank you. I know the kid's special. I know he's got some skills. I'm not downplaying Ryan Hall, but punching has never been his forte. And a jab shouldn't be hurting somebody. So unfortunately, I can't get behind Elkins here. This is a pick'em fight, -110. Slight juice in some places, -115 on Darren Elkins, which I can't quite figure out. Nate Landwehr is a guy who I very recently fell into a trap with when he welcomed Herbert Burns to the UFC. Now, Herbert Burns, Gilbert Burns' little brother, the lesser-known Burns. I took that angle on. There is a good brother and there is a bad brother, always with the siblings when it comes to mixed martial arts, and I don't think that Herbert is up to Gilbert's level. Well, it's almost like he tuned into my show and was like, fuck that guy, because he came out and he destroyed Nate Landwehr. It was a very, very quick KO. So Nate Landwehr is really, the thing I like about him is his scrambles. You cannot keep this guy down. I don't know how he does it, but his get-up game is unreal. He scrambles amazingly well and gets back to his feet. He has really long, straight punches. He's incredibly aggressive, but he can overextend. He's got big power. He puts it on his opponents, but I'm also very concerned that he is a USADA victim. I think he was on something when he was fighting for M1. They don't have as strict of drug policies as the UFC does. So I think Nate Landwehr might have cycled off coming over to the UFC so he doesn't pop on his very first fight. And if you don't have that EPO in your system, those shots you were able to walk through before are going to put you down, and that's exactly what happens. Herbert Burns threw a beautiful knee, something that he had never done before in a single one of his other fights, straight up the middle, caught Nate Landwehr clean and put him out cold in the first round. That one sucked because I thought I had a really sweet angle on it, and honestly, this is one where time will tell. I might have had that cap correct. I might have absolutely had my read on Nate Landwehr correct, and maybe Herbert Burns just knocked it out of the park. Maybe he hit that 1 in a million knees, right? We don't know. Only time will tell. The only problem with that is that it backs me off of backing Nate Landwehr financially for the time being. I've got to see what he's got. He needs to come in here and he needs to show me that he can have the same durability, that same never quit attitude that he had over in M1 before I'm willing to put any more cash on him. So I got to pass. I think Nate Landwehr wins this fight. Darren Elkins has taken so much damage in his career, and the fact that his strategy is wrestle and don't get hit, that's going to play right into Nate Landwehr's game. So I think Darren is going to strike with him as little as possible, try and put Landwehr on the mat. Nate Landwehr's going to be able to use that scrambling ability of his, get back up to his feet, and then he's going to land bombs. And we know what happens these days when Darren the Damage Elkins gets hit with bombs. He just can't wear the damage anymore. He's got all that scar tissue up in his face and stuff like that. He bleeds immediately, which it isn't something that we've seen so far. At UFC 249, the referees did a pretty good job of letting the fights go, even when the fighters were busted up. But you never know. This is a smaller card, not as big of names. I got to wonder, with the COVID crisis, they want to keep people out of the hospitals as much as they can. If Darren starts bleeding and stumbling all over the place, the referee may wave the thing off. And somehow, now the stats, here's where it gets interesting for me. Darren Elkins averages 2.52 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 35% accuracy. What that means is he's going for a lot of takedowns and not getting most of them, but he still manages to get 2.5 every 15 minutes. So he's going to be scrambling for takedowns constantly. If Landwehr is not able to get back to his feet, then Elkins is going to beat the living crap out of him. So again, it could really go either way. As much as I think Elkins is going to win this one, I don't trust it enough to actually put cash on it. So we're going to be passing again. I promise you folks, I've got bets for you. I've got several leans that I haven't made into official bets just yet. We'll talk about those tonight, so don't worry. We will get there. But there are a couple spots that I'm very, very closely looking at. So I apologize. So far, there have been no bets, and I know you always like to start the night off with action, right? That's why I try to give you my reads on all the fights, start to finish, let you know how I think it's going to go, because even if I don't lock in an official bet, maybe what I talk to you about, maybe the information will give you an opportunity to make some cash where I'm, don't have the balls to actually take the shot. So our next fight is going to be at featherweight. Mike Davis, 8-2, is taking on Giga Chikadze. I think that's how you say that. There's a D and a Z right next to each other. Very hard for my tongue to do. So we've got Mike 8-2-0. Giga is 9-2-0. And this is another tough one. Really, really tough one. Let's look at the betting line first off. Mike Davis is a minus 220 favorite, and Giga is plus 180. When I jumped onto this thing, I really wanted to bet Giga as an underdog. Giga is an excellent striker. He's got a kickboxing base. He has 38 kickboxing wins. He actually has 2 world titles in kickboxing. He's a European Muay Thai champion. He has very, very intelligent defense once he gets on the mat. He does have a good buck and roll reversal to get him out of trouble when he does get on the ground. But on the feet, he's got this really lightning quick step in jab. He does have really excellent calf kicks. His legs are his biggest weapon. He has good liver kicks, big shots to the body. He keeps his hands low, though, and he relies on head movement. And the biggest problem with Giga is that so far in his UFC career, he's gassed out from wrestling. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He beat Brandon Davis, which is a guy, he's got all the skills in the world, but just can't seem to put it together. So I was high on him. He went to split decision with that guy. Okay, you got the win. No shame. The dude has skills, even though he can't seem to win in the UFC. I'll give you that. Then he faces Jamal Emmers. Jamal Emmers in March earlier this year. He wins a split decision there that I completely disagree with. I think Jamal won that fight. In my opinion, Giga should be 1-1 in the UFC. Mike Davis on the flip side of this thing, he was a high school wrestling standout, very physically strong, big beefy guy, strong hips, good takedown defense and offense from this kid. Big power, sharp boxing, really nice timing. He also relies on head movement to get through these fights here. He has good vision. He counters extremely well. He sees his opponent's attacks coming. He is willing to get sucked into a technical brawl. That's something that you've got to bear in mind. There might be a day where we can fade Mike Davis simply because he is willing to point to the center of the cage and throw down at some point, but I don't know that this is the one. According to his Instagram, he's been spending time out at Tiger Muay Thai. Toiger. I'm sorry, I'm coming from Austin Powers. He's toy like a toiga. He's been out at Tiger Muay Thai, and he's been training with ATT, 2 extremely good gyms. And Tiger is absolutely one of my favorite gyms in the world. The people that come out of there, they level up. When you spend time at Tiger, they know what the heck they're doing out there. The thing with Mike is he can overextend. He gets too excited. He relies on that power, and he leaves himself vulnerable to counters. So the other thing is he's hittable up the middle. This is difficult, very, very difficult, because I thought Giga was going to be live. He's plus 180. That's a huge line. For a guy with the striking credentials of Giga, massive. But the fact that he lost to Jamal Emmers because of wrestling, Mike Davis is an extremely powerful wrestler, physically more imposing than a guy like Jamal Emmers. That's not great. That's really not great. I think that Giga is going to struggle with the grappling of Mike Davis. And even if he doesn't necessarily get taken down every time, that constant threat of the takedown is going to cause him problems. Giga's going to shell up. He's going to be looking for, counter wrestling, keeping his hands low to try to defend the takedown. It's going to be a problem. And I think Mike Davis is really the way to go here. I am very tempted to parlay him. I haven't locked it in yet. Keep an eye on my Twitter at DieHardMMAPod. If I decide to go ahead and lock him in a parlay, I will let you know as soon as I do over there. But the more I look at it, the more I think minus 220 is a relatively fair price. Giga gasses, and if Mike's going to wear on him both on the feet and on the mat, make him scared of the takedown, shell him up, he's got a very good chance of winning this one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chat here. Zane saying, Mike, money. I like it, Zane. I think you're on the right track there, man. And my boy Danny correcting my pronunciation. Thank you, sir. You are invaluable. What's up, Boston? Nick, my buddy that I've been doing a whole lot of live streams with for odds.com. Check them out. I've actually been doing a whole lot of articles for odds.com breaking down these fights. If you prefer a written format to audio or video, head on over to odds.com. I'm going to go ahead and put the links down in the description here when this thing does hit YouTube, not live, but the after live stream version of it. And do me a favor, if you want to support the show, just click that link. Give me a view. Give me a click. Read on through a couple of these articles for me. I would greatly appreciate it. And let's move right along. Our next fight is going to be at middleweight. We've got Anthony Fluffy Hernandez versus Kevin Holland. Every time I think of Fluffy Hernandez, Gabriel Iglesias is all that comes to mind. I think of his skit where he talks about Fluffy, and I just crack up. I know this guy's a complete badass mixed martial artist, but I can't help but laugh thinking about my fat, fluffy friends and Gabriel Iglesias, and good times. So Anthony Hernandez is 7-1-0, taking on Kevin the Big Mouth Holland, 15-5. This is going to be a scrap. These boys, I don't know. Okay, I got to take a deep breath here. Let's take a look at the line. Kevin Holland is a slight dog, it looks like. It's mostly pick 'em everywhere. -110, -115. I see -105 at a couple places for Holland with -115 juice on the other side for Fluffy. This is a pick 'em for a reason. You know, this fight, this whole card, the whole Saturday card is going to be coin flippy. You can make intense arguments for either side of any one of these fights. So this is one of those ones where if you want to bet every single fight, you could split it. You could go, 6-6. You could go 10-0. You could go 1-11. There's so many ways that all these fights could go. Good freaking luck. This is going to be an interesting one to find good betting spots on. And this is a fight where I'm very tempted. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez has excellent blitz attacks. He's very smart. He's got an intelligent get-up game when he does get the fight to the ground. He's got 5 of his 7 wins coming by submission. His chokes are sick. If he gets on your neck, you're in serious trouble. He's got very good balance. He's good at hand fighting. So when his opponents are trying to get him to the mat, he has excellent escapes when it comes to that. And he's very difficult to take down. He's usually the one doing the taking down. He's got good tight boxing, a big right hand. He does keep his hands low, but he does have good head movement to make up for it. He can be hittable sometimes. So far, his chin is held up. He's got excellent submission defense. He mixes in lots of takedowns. So like I said, he's usually the one doing the takedown. Kevin Holland on the other side of this thing, he's going to have all the physical advantages. I want to go ahead and pull up the stat sheet here because it's honestly a little scary how much this guy has on the physical side of things. And that's really what is kind of edging me his direction for a potential bet here. So let's start with Fluffy. Fluffy's 6 foot. He's got a 75-inch reach. Kevin Holland is 6'3". Okay, 3 inches taller. That's decent. 81-inch reach. He has a legitimate 6-inch reach advantage. Holland is going to be able to pepper Fluffy where Fluffy can get nowhere near him. And that's a problem. Very tall, very lanky. Kevin's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. He's very offensive with his own submission game. He does make some bad IQ decisions. He does leave his neck out there, but his submission defense is on point. Even when he does put himself in those sketchy situations, he's always been able to get out of them. I mean, Brendan Allen was the only one so far that's been able to actually tap him out, and that was after like 8 failed submission attempts. That was a really back-and-forth grappling match as long as it lasted. If Kevin Holland gets on top of you, he has some serious ground and pound. His striking on his feet is not quite as crisp, but the power and the leverage from those long limbs is unreal if he gets on top of you on the mat. He has a slick kicking game from the outside. If he can keep you at kicking distance, kind of like I was talking about, using that height and reach advantage, he's very, very talented, and Anthony's going to have a hard time closing that distance. He does use his length well, like I said, and some tall people, they struggle to use that length. He is not one of them. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the biggest thing that I like about him is he talks mad shit mid-fight. If you put him on his back and you get on top of him, you're punching him in the face, he's going to be chatting at you the whole time. It's actually kind of hilarious. And I can see where it would annoy his opponents. You almost got to wonder if it gets in their heads a little bit. Like, what do I have to do to shut this guy up? So I just, the physical advantages on this one, I have to go with Holland. I'm very, very close to actually making that an official play, an official bet, because Kevin Holland he's better everywhere. And then they're comparable in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I got to wonder if Holland is actually overall better than Hernandez is. I know Hernandez has good chokes and he's got high-level Jiu-Jitsu, but I don't know if he's quite as good as Holland is in pure BJJ. I don't know that this fight should be a pick'em. I like Fluffy, so it kind of makes it hard. And the IQ questions surrounding Kevin Holland are what's really holding me back. If he didn't have questionable fight IQ, if I knew he would go straight to his advantage area and do what he needed to do to get through the fight, he would be a bet here in a heartbeat. I'd be all over him already. But because he engages in those fights where he doesn't necessarily need to, that's what's keeping me off him. But he did grapple. He survived for 15 minutes with Thiago Santos, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and now he's the man at 205. He also went to a split decision with Gerald Meerschaert, who I think is 2019's MVP, most improved fighter. Gerald Meerschaert has made leaps and bounds, and the fact that Kevin Holland was able to stand toe-to-toe with him for 15 minutes and grind out a split decision win, highly impressive to me. So he's a young kid, 27 years old. Lots of room to grow. The same can be said for Fluffy, though. He's only 26. He's improving every single time out. This is going to be a really interesting fight. Unfortunately, it might end up having to be a pass just because, again, there's so many questions surrounding it. But I'm very much leaning Holland. Something in my gut tells me that Holland gets it done. That brings us to the featured fight here of the preliminary card, one that is interesting. We have Matt the Immortal Brown. He's making his return to the cage after a legit full-on retirement, comes back against Ben Saunders, knocks him out stiff in the second round. That fight, oh, baby. I tried to fade Matt Brown because I thought Ben Saunders had some more in the tank, but that time off did Matt Brown some serious good. He came back and he had nothing. Saunders had nothing for Matt Brown. I'm sorry. That was a complete one-sided ass beating. I thought he was going to get the sub in round one, but Matt Brown's submission defense is just too dang good. He was able to wear through it. Saunders gassed, and that was it. His elbows are unreal. Matt Brown is very, very, very intelligent. He is one of these guys where he can patch up a lot of holes in his game just by being smart. You know, the brain on a fighter, people underestimate just what that is worth. I mentioned his submission defense. He has very tight boxing. His hands are very accurate, and he has explosive power in every single limb. Knees, elbows, kicks, punches. Dude drops bombs. When he clinches up with people, he looks for body lock trips. He's dangerous in the clinch as well with those short elbows. He uses the front kick, the teep, to control space and keep his opponent where he wants them. When it hits the mat, he's got heavy ground and pound. If you're not ready to get back to your feet, he's going to make you pay for getting on the mat with him. The biggest question about Matt Brown is his durability. We all know my rule. I don't bet on fighters who are 40 years or older unless I've got a damn good reason. He's 39, so he's not quite there yet. We've got 1 year before that rule comes into effect, but he's getting there. And he is 22-16 with a lot of losses, so that durability, maybe we should count this guy as a 40-year-old because of how much he has been through. He's had a really, really long UFC career, and he's fighting an up-and-comer. I feel like the UFC are very, very much attempting to throw Matt Brown to the wolves here. He's welcoming Miguel Baeza to the UFC. Miguel is 8-0 with 6 KOs to his name. This kid's kicks are unreal legit. Very athletic, tall and lanky for the division. He's got big, big power. He can rip head kicks like none other. No setup, no nothing, just whack. He's going to have to watch out for those. He has heavy ground and pound himself when it gets to the mat. My issue with Miguel is so far he doesn't really throw in combos. He doesn't set stuff up enough. He does throw big power shots kind of one at a time. And against a savvy veteran like Matt Brown, that concerns me because if you can get countered and you can land a 2-3 punch combo every time this kid winds up for one big shot, his durability better hold up. He does drop his hands, and that allows him to be countered. Nobody's been able to capitalize on it so far. In his last fight, he came to us from the Dana White's Contender Series, and he fought Hector Aldana. Aldana hit him flush a couple times. Aldana hit him really hard. I mean, he checked out, though. That chin got checked, and he took it. He kept on coming. He actually won that fight via leg kicks, which is just terrifying. If anybody is smart enough to use leg kicks to that level and then just hammer away at them until the fight is over, their opponent literally waves the white flag because they don't want to get kicked in the leg anymore, that's scary. That's definitely terrifying. I think if you were to create a monster designed specifically to defeat Matt Brown, it might be Miguel Baeza. Because Matt Brown, if you remember, one of his biggest losses that really, the nail in the coffin, was his loss to Donald Cowboy Cerrone. It was a competitive fight. Donald ripped a kick to the body and hurt him, and because of that, he had to drop his hands. His hands came low, and then as soon as that happened, Donald went high. Head kick knockout, highlight reel, very impressive, and I got to wonder if Miguel is going to be able to do that this time. If Matt Brown can't get this kid to the mat and can't pound him out in the very first round, he's going to be eating leg kicks that are going to slow him down. He's going to be eating body kicks. That's going to wear on him. That's going to get into his mind. He's going to drop his hands. He's going to try and protect that rib cage. And then he's going to be eating head kicks. And once that starts happening, I don't think he's going to last very long. Miguel Baeza is a -200 favorite right now. The comeback on Matt Brown is +170. I hate laying big chalk. If you've been watching the show for a while, you know I'm not a fan of big chalk, but Miguel Baeza is probably the play here, and he's actually the side that I'm very, very much considering closing that parlay with Mike Davis on. You're going to get a minus 200 and a minus 220 somewhere in that ballpark, and that's going to pay out roughly even money, maybe very slight plus money, and I think that might be a winner. I need to finish my research up. We've got a couple of days. I need to get through tomorrow. The fight's tomorrow. Let's see how we turn out. If we make some cash, I'm going to be a lot more loose Saturday. I'll tell you that. If I put some more units in my pockets and my reads are sharp and I'm seeing things clearly, I feel like I'm seeing things clearly right now. And if I get that little boost of confidence from the fights tomorrow, I might be sprinkling a decent bit more action on Saturday's card. So for now, I haven't locked anything in yet, but that's kind of how I'm feeling. We're on to the main card. We've got a 5-fight main card here. Song Yadong welcomes us, taking on Marlon Chito Vera. What a fight. What a fight. This is how you start off a main card, UFC. Thank you very much, Uncle Dana. You are the man. Song Yadong is Team Alpha Male's new flag bearer. This kid is an absolute monster, and they have turned him into that. He's coming from China. We all know that China is in the process of taking over the UFC right now, and this kid's the next wave, at least for the men's side of things. He gets into the UFC, subs out his first opponent, knocks out his second opponent, gets a slight step up in competition, wins a convincing decision, and then he knocks out Alejandro freaking Perez. He is on a roll. I mean, he's undefeated in the UFC. He's 15-4. Any troubles that he had were before he got to Team Alpha Male, before he got to the UFC. I am so high on Song Yadong. I'm very much looking forward to this kid. Fast hands, great jab, always attacks and combos. Very, very important to me. Sets stuff up. He's got a big right hand, big explosive knees. He's got a good chin that has checked out over his last couple of fights. He has mean, nasty elbows in the clinch. He's dangerous literally everywhere. And then he's got really great hips, really athletic sprawl, keeps his opponents from taking him down if he doesn't want to go there. Excellent takedown defense. He showed that in spades in his last fight. He fought Cody Stamann in December. And this was the fight where I really thought they were going to get him. Cody Stamann is a powerful high-level wrestler. And Song, I was just like, he's too young. He's 22 years old. He's got all this experience, this win streak. Like, they're bringing him along right. But I think this is the one. I think this is where they're going to get him. And he was able to stuff Cody big time. And then he threw an illegal knee. He made a young kid mistake. We see young fighters do this kind of stuff all the time. That's what they do. They slip up. And he kneed Cody Stamann, costing him an extra point. So he lost the first round. He got docked an extra point. He had to win rounds 2 and 3 just to squeeze by and get out of there with a draw. And he was intelligent enough, able to dig hard enough to get the dang thing done. Kid smart. I love the intelligence in this young prospect. The fact that he was able to whip Cody's butt for 2 more rounds to get that draw so he kept that loss off of his record. Big thumbs up. Huge fan here. I'm trying to decide, honestly, if I'm going to give my pick away here. I haven't even broken down Marlon Vera yet. I'm trying to decide if I want to put Song in a parlay or play him straight because I love him here. Marlon Chito Vera is a guy that I've been very, very high on. We have made some money here on the Die Hard MMA podcast, tailing our boy Vera. Dude's a finisher. Danny, I see you already parlayed Baeza. Good call, man. I'm looking at it. Bill, thank you for tuning into the show. Welcome. My daddy's going down. Oh, how dare you? How dare you, sir? OSP is very dangerous. I'm hoping that big boy body from my daddy pulls on through. I think he hits harder. He's going to be physically stronger. OSP in round 1, I think, is going to be very, very dangerous. But if daddy can drag this thing into rounds 2 and 3, make it dirty, lean him up against the cage, get OSP sucking wind, I think it's in the bag. I think it's going to be a decision. I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think he'll win by 3-round decision. But yeah. Good luck, man. Good luck. I'll always wish everybody luck. That's something people always get weird about that. When I play poker, if I get all in with somebody, I wish them luck. And everyone's like, why are you wishing your opponent luck? You don't want them to catch. And I'm a nice guy. Like, if we disagree, that's okay. It's okay that we're on the opposite sides of a fight. I will wish you luck. And if you win, as long as you're not a dick about it, I will high five you afterward because you made some cash. Good on you. We'll share a drink afterward. So back to Marlon Chito Vera. Love this guy. Hate going against him. And he is 15-5. He's on a 5-fight win streak. Unfortunately, the people that he's beating, I'm not overly impressed with. He's been getting the right matchups. Absolutely been getting the right guys to allow him time to grow and improve and still show that he's a world-class talent. Frankie Saenz, TKO'd that guy. We knew he was at the end of his career. We cashed in on that one. Nolene Hernandez, we cashed in inside the distance on that one as well. Nolene was brand new to the UFC. He actually put Vera in some sticky situations in that fight. He was a short notice, unknown replacement, though. That can happen. That's like when Alexander stepped in and knocked Dariush out in 60 freaking seconds or whatever it was. That can happen, but he pulled it off. He dug through it. He got the submission in the second round. Very impressed with his performance there to dig through a bad situation and come out on top. Then he fought Andre Ewell, and we were this close to losing our inside the distance bet there. But he turned it on in round 3 and got it done for us. We're 3 for 3 right now, betting Marlon Chito Vera. And it feels almost like I'm betraying my boy going against him here in this fight. It makes me a little bit sad. Bros before hoes, right? And I'm not calling Song Yadong a hoe. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. So Marlon Vera, incredibly aggressive, super offensive submission game. He dives on submissions. He's willing to put himself in danger. He's willing to put himself in the fire for that shot to catch a sub and win and get out of the fight. He attacks with elbows from guard, which I always love. When your opponent's on top of you and they should have the advantage, the referee and the officials should be looking at it and going, that guy, the one on top, he's the one winning. And you're like, no, dude, catch him with an elbow, bust him open, cut him up. Love that. That is a great, great move to steal points back when you're on bottom. He has poor striking defense, though. On the feet, he gets outstruck by his opponents. With pretty regularity, actually. So that's a concern with how crisp Song Yadong is on the feet. He shells up when he's at range, not intelligent striking defense, and he has wild striking. It kind of reminds me of Nico Price, which y'all know how much I love Nico Price, except Vera doesn't have the death touch that Nico does. He's not going to land that one wild shot that just completely KOs his opponent. I mean, he can, but look what he did to Andre Ewell. It took him 3 full rounds. They had to go almost the entire distance before he finally landed that bomb, and Ewell had worn down. And I am not high on Ewell. I am not impressed with that guy. So the fact that he went all 15 minutes with Ewell and then got it done at the end, I got it. Like, I'm glad I won the bet. I'm happy for my boy, but I can't take that as a huge vote of confidence that he's going to be able to do that with somebody the caliber of Song Yadong. He just wades in with his hands low. He's hittable. He does catch kicks for takedowns, but I think Song's going to know that and be well prepared for that. He transitions to the back well. That's the key, is that Vera is so dangerous on the mat. I do think he's better than Song Yadong on the mat, but Song is an alpha male product. He's out there with some serious wrestlers. I don't know if Vera's going to be able to even get that takedown. And if he does get the takedown, I think Song will have a defense prepared. The other thing I like about Vera is his killer instinct. When he has somebody hurt, he goes for broke. He does not give you the opportunity to recover. So if Song gets rocked in this fight, we're in trouble. All things considered, I think the line is about correct. I think Song Yadong deserves to be a -200 favorite. The comeback on Chito is +170, and he's extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. So if you want to take a dog bet on Marlon Vera, I will not argue with you. I won't try to talk you off of it. I like him, and more often than not, I would be on that spot too. Y'all know I'm a dog or pass kind of player, but not this time. And Jordan, not going to say your last name, buddy. Jordan steps into the show here and says that Chito will put Song to sleep. That's a bold prediction right there, sir. He's got multiple ways to do it. He's got crazy power. He's got good ground and pound, and he's got a slick submission game. He's very dangerous. So if you do take that dog shot on Vera, Godspeed, my friends. Good luck, and I hope you cash your bets. But I'm very, very much looking at putting a bet on Song Yadong. It's just a matter of how. I might even go as far as doing another 3-leg parlay. That worked out well for UFC 249. I know we had a scare the very first fight of the night. Freaking Sam Alvey, man. But it cashed. The fact of the matter is it cashed. These -200 favorites, even if it gets hairy, they a lot of times just seem to get the damn thing done. So I might even do a 3-legger on this one with Song, Baeza, and Mike Davis. Might seem a little bit square, but if it pays out somewhere in the ballpark of plus 150, plus 160, and I only have to risk 1 unit instead of risking 6 on these favorites, it's not a bad deal to me. I know sharp bettors are going to tell you not to do that. Professionals are going to tell you not to do that. But like I said, I'm your average Joe. I think I know what I'm talking about with UFC fights. And if I have 3 guys that I think are going to win, it's a low risk, low reward type of situation to parlay them together. If one of them busts it, you drop 1 unit instead of dropping 2, 3. It's not a bad deal in my opinion. We're moving on. Next fight is going to be a middleweight fight. Eric, your boy Anders, returns against Christoph Jocko. And this fight's fun. This fight's very, very fun. Eric Anders is 13-4. Christoph Jocko is 21-4. And Christoph Jocko right now is a minus 160 favorite. We've got the flip side. Eric, your boy, has gone all the way up to a plus 140 dog. And that intrigues me. I'm very interested. Let me get his page pulled up so I can read you some numbers. This is the downside to doing live shows. Y'all don't know how much post editing goes into this stuff for me. I'm always prepped. I'm prepared. I'm ready to go. I've got all the numbers up. I've got my notes and my breakdown in front of me. And it's kind of hard to get all that done while I'm talking. The multitasking is a lot more interesting than you are all aware of on your side of the screen there. So just bear with me 1 second here. I got a little behind when I got excited talking about Song. Bill, and trying to keep an eye on the chat too. Oh, geez. Bill, my boy, let's see. The plays are OSP, Simone, Egay. Good luck. Let's make some money. Go ahead and pop that up for everybody to see. Disagree on OSP, buddy, respectfully. And Simone, that's a pass for me. That's a dog or pass situation for me. I don't want to lay the wood on Simone just because I really think that he's just such a skilled grappler, man. So, I mean, I know Simone's the bigger guy, but Borg is very talented. I'm scared to step in front of him. That's all it comes down to on that one. Egay, I'll just leave it at that. We'll put a pin in that one. So let's get back to Christoph Jocko and Eric, yo boy, Anderson. So Eric Anders is 33 years old, and he's burned me a couple times in the past. He's untrustworthy. He's just so untrustworthy. Here's the thing. Eric Anders ran into Thiago Santos, got TKO'd by the biggest man in the division, who's since moved up to 205 and is cleaning house there too. And he retired. He realized, holy shit, like that's the level of guys I've got to try to beat. And he just called it quits. I think what he's done at this point is he's realized he can make a check. Eric Anders has a very specific skill set. I'm very familiar with it. And I don't see him improving. He's not at the age where you're expecting leaps and bounds of improvement. I think he has settled in. I absolutely think that he's just basically accepted the fact that this is who I am. I'm athletic. I'm hard to take down. I hit hard. So he can knock anybody out with his left hand. If he lands his left flush, you're going to sleep. That's just the truth. He's hard to take down. So against grapplers, he had a good fight against Gerald Meerschaert, GM3. Gerald struggled with the physicality of Eric Anders. And that was a very close fight, which, by the way, I think GM3 won. If memory serves correctly, I think I scored that for GM3. At any rate, he is getting hit a lot. He averages 3.06 significant strikes per minute, and he absorbs 4.15. So on average, in his his whole UFC career, he's been outlanded by his opponents by a single significant strike per minute, and that adds up. And yes, looking back at the numbers, GM3 landed 72 significant strikes to Eric Anders' 64. I believe I was on GM3 on that fight, and I cried robbery when the split decision went to ya boy. So he keeps the fight standing. He tries to land that left hand, and his volume isn't huge. 3 significant strikes per minute isn't a ton of output. So Christoph Jocko on the flip side of this thing, he works out of ATT, great gym. He's doing the Jocko 2.0 thing. He's gone back to the drawing board, and he's trying to reinvent himself. So far, it's going pretty well. After going on a 3-fight skid, he has since won back-to-back fights. However, the most recent one was a split against Marc-Andre Barrial, who I am not at all impressed with anymore. He works huge knees in the clinch. That's one thing I do like about him. If he gets in a clinch situation, powerful, strong knees. Not a place I think you want to be with Eric Anders, though, so I don't know how that's going to affect this particular fight. He does have a good step-in elbow and uppercut, which I think will be very effective, and a low calf kick, which I think he can use very efficiently as well. He tries to back his opponents up. He mixes in takedowns, and that ain't going to work. He's not going to be able to back up Eric Anders, at least until he chops that leg down, and he won't be able to do takedowns. He's in good shape. I stalked his Instagram. He's in very good shape, probably the best shape I've seen him in his last 4 or 5 fights. But I don't think he's physically strong enough to take down a guy like Eric Anders. If you don't know Anders, if you follow my show, I've told you this before, but to those of you who are new, I mean, Eric Anders was a college standout. He was a college football player, huge, extremely strong and athletic. I think Jocko's going to struggle putting this guy on the mat. Now, if he does get the takedown, he probably wins this fight running away, but I just don't see it happening. The other thing is Jocko runs out of gas. In the third round of every single fight, he slows down, and he slows down massively. I think that's what led to the split in the Marc-Andre Barriault fight, is that Barriault was able to make a case for himself in the third round. And Jocko has a bad chin. That's the last piece of the puzzle here. Coming off back-to-back KO losses against Uriah Hall and Brad Tavares. Folks, you don't get knocked out by Brad Tavares. Tavares is a volume striker, and he can't bust a grape. He can't knock anybody out, and he knocked out Krzysztof Jotko in 2018. Like, that was just a year or two ago. Hey, that's the whole fight for me. That's the whole thing. Krzysztof Jotko gasses out badly in round 3. Eric Anders has a big left hand, and Jocko's chinny enough to get knocked out by Brad Tavares. Let's talk some comments here. Danny's talking Simone decision plus 120. That's not a bad look. Borg isn't getting finished. So if you're going to play the favorite, good job spotting some dog money there. I like it. Thanks a lot, Bill. I appreciate the support. Appreciate you tuning in. Paul steps in here and says, no cardio for Eric Anders. He manages his pace is kind of the way I think of it. It's not that he has no cardio. He just knows his limits. He's almost Yoel Romero style. He explodes when he needs to. And he tries to save gas in the tank for when he needs to explode. So the rest of the fight, he's a little bit slower. He's a little bit steadier just because he wants to save the juice for when he needs it. And this fight, I think he'll get it. Jordan, yes, Jocko's hugely chinny. And I'm going to keep an eye on this line, because if that line keeps creeping up, as much as I don't trust Eric Anders, I'm going to have to take that shot. This is a dogger pass spot for me. Can't trust Jocko as a favorite. Simply cannot trust him as a favorite. He's the better striker. End of story. And it's hard to say that when you want to bet against him, because he is the better fighter. The problem is that chin. Eric Anders is the better athlete, more explosive, and he's fast. He can hit that left hand from pretty much anywhere. And Jocko simply doesn't like getting hit. I can see them both getting a KO minus 600. Zane, explain. I can see Clint giving them both a KO minus. You saying I'm going to KO them both? I might be able to knock out Jocko. I don't know about Eric, though. I think my mom could knock out Jocko. All right, so that's that fight in a nutshell. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's going to be fun to see if Eric, like I said, he's got a very specific set of skills. And when he gets the right opponent, he shines. And I think Jocko might be that guy. He's a guy that's going to have to engage him on the feet, because I don't see him getting the wrestling going. And when that happens, that bomb could be coming. Might be a good dog. Definitely dog or pass for me. The next fight, Dan Egay. 50K, the man who is on an absolute tear right now, welcoming Edson Barboza to the weight class. This is a featherweight fight. Barboza fights normally at 155. He is cutting the 10 extra pounds from where, I ask you, to get down to 145. No clue. So here's the thing. Barboza is absolutely shredded. He's one of the most ripped people in the UFC. He's incredibly fast, incredibly explosive. He's got one of the best highlight reels in MMA today from all the spinning kicks and athletic kicks he throws. He's given up muscle. Plain and simple. He already had to cut a lot and hard to get that shredded, to get down to 155. Now he's dipping an extra 10 pounds. There's only one way that weight comes off, and it's not water. He's going to lose muscle. If Barboza loses that fast twitch muscle that he's got, there goes his weapons. We've seen a lot of people in the UFC, when they make a late career move in a weight class, up is successful, down is not. Look at TJ Dillashaw. When he tried to go down to fight Henry Cejudo, he was already as lean as you could get at his weight class. And then he dropped down to 125 trying to get a second belt. He had no water on the brain. You can't defend those punches. You've got no chin when you do that. Your strength, your durability, it's all out the window. So I think that's it. That's it. I got to go back to my boy Bill that said that the play was going to be Egay, and you are right, Bill. I have already locked in an underdog play on Egay. Right now, you can get our boy Danny Egay at plus 110. That's the same line I got. I got plus 110. Apparently that line hasn't budged. It looks like early money came in on Barboza, then it swung the other way, and now it's kind of balanced itself out back right in the middle. But I think Danny Egay is definitely the side here. Dude is a killer, and he's on an absolute tear right now. He's on a 5-fight win streak. His most recent one coming over Mirsad Bektic, which is very, very impressive. It was a split, but still, like, Bektic is a huge, huge hurdle. He's also finishing people. I mean, it's just so impressive what he's been able to do so far in this run. He's putting it all together. He's 28 years old. He's in the prime of his life. That wrestling has been the Achilles heel of Edson Barboza. Barboza has a really, really hard time with the threat of the takedown. So even if Egay has a hard time getting that takedown, the simple fact that he's going to make Edson Barboza think takedown is going to slightly shut down some of his offensive ability. He's not going to feel as comfortable winging those kicks out there because Egay can snag a leg. If you spin around, you give your back up, Egay's going to wrap you up. Egay's also got very crisp and tight boxing. So if he's able to get in close, we're not keeping this thing at kicking range. If Egay's able to stay all the way out, get all the way in for a takedown, or get in boxing range, he's just going to wreck Edson Barboza. The other thing we've got to look at is the amount of damage that Barboza has taken. And holy cow, as of late, Barboza has been taking a ton of damage. So he is 1-4 in his last 5. Now, the thing that you can give Edson Barboza in this fight is level of competition. At 155, he's fought the best of the best. He's got every name on his record, man. Every single good name at 155, except for like Conor McGregor, is on his list. And he just, the last 4, it's been, I mean, these are great names. Don't get me wrong. These are fantastic names, but the amount of damage he's taken from them is unreal. So Khabib'd him. What more do you want? Khabib outlanded him 89-25, just complete mauling, which is what Khabib does. No surprise, right? Then he faces Kevin Lee. And you're thinking, okay, Kevin Lee might strike with him a little bit, another good grappler, but we know Kevin Lee gasses out. Maybe Barboza can get it done. The beating of his life, Kevin Lee landed on him here. 142 significant strikes to 51. That's life-changing, folks. 142 significant strikes. That's not even counting the insignificant ones over the course of a 15-minute fight. 25-minute fight. That was a main event, but still. One night, you absorb that much damage. No thank you. That's going to rattle your brain permanently. Then he faces Dan Hooker. He got some of that back. I'm not sure what happened that night. Hooker wasn't able to figure out the range, and he put a beating on Hooker. But he still absorbed 81 significant strikes. That's the key here. Even though he laid an absolute beating on Hooker, he absorbed 81 significant strikes. He only absorbed 20 significant strikes from Justin Gaethje, but he got knocked the fuck out. So he may not have taken a ton of damage from Gaethje over the course of the fight, but that one big bomb, nail in the coffin. You can't be taking shots like that, especially when you're getting towards the end of your career. 34 years old, you don't wear that kind of damage so well anymore. And then he lost a split decision to Paul Felder. And even though it was only 56 significant strikes, that's still a lot. And that's a lot at the end of the tunnel after those other previous fights. It all added up to him. And he knows he can't cut it at 155 anymore. That's plain and simple. You're not going to get new life down at 145. It's just not going to happen. And the UFC knows it. They are giving us a golden opportunity to bet this boy Egay here at dog money right now. The UFC wants Edson Barboza's name on Danny Egay's resume. That's what's happening here. I see Danny Egay taking Barboza down, maybe not early, but threatening to take him down, getting in the pocket, lighting him up with some punches. God knows, with the amount of damage Barboza's taken, he might even knock him out, because with him having to suck all that water out of his body to get down to 145, he just may not be able to take a punch down there. I think Egay can win this thing by decision. I think he can win it by submission when Barboza gasses out. I think he can win it by knockout with that crisp, tight boxing and those big, powerful, fast hands. I am all over Egay. I love him here. He's an official pick. He's an official bet. I have already locked this one in, and I don't know that he is going to be the dog by kickoff. I don't see how anybody could bet Barboza here and feel comfortable doing so. Moving right along, that brings us to the co-main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for sticking with me. This has been fun. It's been fun to do live. If you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and throw them in the chat here. I appreciate the comments as we've been going through this. It's been fun interacting. We have got Claudia Gadelha taking on Angela Overkill Hill, and this is an extremely interesting fight to me. Claudia Gadelha has been a contender basically her entire time in the UFC, right? She's got 2 fights with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She wasn't able to come out on top on either one. Both of them decisions. The first one, she was more successful than the second. She went to a split decision the first time, got unanimously beat up the second time. Looking at the numbers there, Claudia was able to land 7 takedowns in their first fight. And that right there was the key. She was only able to get 4 the second time they fought, and she actually gave up 1 to Joanna, and Joanna outstruck her 176 significant strikes to 63. Joanna did the damn Joanna thing to Claudia in that rematch. Ever since then, she's been trying to get back into title contention. The fact of the matter is she's a complete beast. She's a physical monster for the women at 155 pounds, and she just imposes her will on people. So she roughs up Courtney Casey. We all knew she was going to do that. She destroys my girl, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, which I hope, please just retire, Karolina. I love you very much. I don't want to see you get hurt anymore. Then she gets Jessica Andrade, the one tank at 155 who can compete with her on a physicality level. And she drops a decision to Jessica Andrade. She bounces back at that point against Carla Esparza. Did she, though? Her record shows a win against Carla Esparza. And I beg to differ. Carla Esparza outlanded her 43 significant strikes to 26. Carla Esparza landed 2 takedowns, and Claudia landed 4 and did essentially nothing with them. Carla Esparza won that fight, folks. Carla Esparza should have a win on her record against Claudia Gadelha, and that right there was the beginning of the end. I'm showing my hand here. You know where this is going. Her next fight, she fought Nina Ansaroff in December of 2018, and Nina gave us the game plan for how you beat Claudia Gadelha. She defended the takedown in round 1. She did get taken down, but she immediately got back up to her feet. After she got taken down, she made Claudia work. She kept her on the back foot. She kept circling, ran away, jabbed in her face, and it wore Claudia out. Nina Ansaroff outlanded Claudia Gadelha 96 significant strikes to 49. Claudia did get 2 takedowns in that fight, but it simply wasn't enough. She got bloodied. She got absolutely bludgeoned by Nina Ansaroff, and that's how you have to fight this woman. That's the key. She wears out. Claudia Gadelha does not have the gas tank that she used to have anymore. I think that she is prematurely old from all the weight cutting, all the fighting at an extremely high level. And like I said, when you've been a contender this long, you just kind of run out of gas. She knows she's not going to be the champion. She lost to Joanna twice back-to-back. She's already lost to Jessica Andrade. Yeah, she's never fought Weili Zhang, but what makes you think she's going to win that one? I don't know if her confidence is even there anymore. She's got heavy hands. She's fast. She's dangerous in round 1. But if you make her work after round 1, she is not the same fighter. She's very much the Conor McGregor of 115. She gasses out completely in round 2. And against Randa Marcos, Marcos let her dictate the pace. Randa Marcos let her do what she wanted to do. She didn't push the fight. She didn't go for any takedowns. And Claudia was able to simply pick her spots and jab and move for 15 minutes. She won a very easy unanimous decision there. My girl Angela Overkill Hill, though, is not going to be falling for that crap. Angela Hill is streaking right now. She is on a 3-fight win run. She has TKOs in 2 of them. So not only is she beating these women, she is putting them away. Angela Hill has turned a corner in her career, and I think she's better than ever right now. She's really going to town with that female Donald Cerrone thing, taking a fight every other weekend and just taking on all comers. And she is impressive striking. Very, very impressive Muay Thai. She has, over the course of her career, run it even But in her last handful of fights, she's been very much proving otherwise. I think that she's going to have the takedown defense ability to stuff Claudia Gadelha. She might get taken down once or twice early, but over the course of her career, she has a 72% takedown defense. I think she knows she needs to keep this thing on the feet. She's been working out with Jeremy Stevens, working out with Dominic Cruz, and she really is trying to, I guess, change her style to really look like Dominic Cruz. She's got a lot of footwork, keeps moving, fires that jab out there, and then hits hard when she can. She's very talented as a Muay Thai striker, good knees, good elbows, dangerous in the clinch. And as soon as she gets put on her back, she's working to get back to her feet. She gets her feet on her opponent's hips right away, and she's another one that attacks from bottom with elbows. She's not going to let Claudia rest. And if that's the case, I think she wins this fight. I think Angela Hill's going to give up the first round, and then I think she's going to put it on Claudia for the second and third rounds, and she is going to win a split decision. I locked her up at plus 168. I already have Angela Overkill Hill in my back pocket, and she's my pick here. I actually really like her in this spot. I've been waiting a very long time to fade Claudia Gadelha, and my moment has arrived. The fighter who everyone is selling the short end of the stick to and underestimating has finally showed up that I can put that shot on and take my swing at taking down Claudia Gadelha at dog odds. The other thing I want to let you know is that Angela Hill will have a 1-inch reach advantage. Claudia absorbs 4.38 significant strikes per minute after only landing 3.17, which you think she would land a whole hell of a lot more than that if she's the one taking her opponents down and roughing them up once they get on the mat. And Hill's work rate is unreal. She averages 5.74 significant strikes per minute. Now she absorbs 5.13. So against some of the more skilled fighters of the division, she fought Yan Zonan. She went to war with Courtney Casey a couple of years ago. And then when she fought Nina Ansarov, she took back just as well as she gave. But that work rate is far above what Claudia is going to do. So if Hill can keep it standing for decent portions of this fight, she's just going to be peppering her with shots constantly. I love it. I'm always going to make a case for the dog. And this is my dog. I'm ready to rock with Angela Overkill Hill. Pink Eye Genie. What's up, buddy? Welcome to the show. Thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. Gary, you're absolutely correct. She did have a competitive fight with Jessica Andrade. That was some time ago, and that's where she had a competitive fight with Nina Ansarov. She had a competitive fight with Jessica Andrade. I don't know what happened in that Randa Marcos fight. Somehow she got subbed out on that one. She made us all very uncomfortable when she fought Yan Zonan. I had Yan Zonan in my pocket. I bet on her in that fight, and she fought very well and very closely with Yan as well in that fight. So Hill is no slouch. She always brings it. Very game fighter. The exact kind of person you want to bet on when you're looking for a dog, because they're going to fight for your money. She's never going to throw in the towel. She's never going to give up in the middle of the fight, and she simply doesn't gas out. So if nothing else, you can count on that. And that's what you need when you're looking for a dog. Because if you want to bet on a dog, you sure as heck don't want a dog that's going to curl up and, tap out in the middle of the fight. I mean, unless, of course, they're getting choked or submitted or something. Then, of course, please tap so we can see you fight again. That brings us to the main event of the evening. We've got the big boys. We're opening and closing with the big boys. A couple of events in a row here. I love it. Who doesn't love a good heavyweight scrap? Alistair Overeem returns against Walt the Big Ticket Harris. And this fight is so interesting for me from every level. Granville coming in here. Big step up in competition. I like Claudia by decision. You are right. And one of my rules in MMA betting, or one of my angles, I love to fade the step up in competition. I absolutely love to bet against fighters who are taking their first big step up in competition. The thing with Angela Hill is this is not her first time stepping up there. She's got some very big names on her record. And again, like I said, I think Claudia is fading. I don't think she's the same Claudia. If this fight happened 3 years ago, it would be Claudia by murder. But I think Hill is improving, and I think Claudia is on the downswing. If you take that shot, I like that a whole lot better than playing her straight. Why bother laying the juice? I think Hill's durable enough to survive, and it's going to be a squeaky, hairy type of fight. If it does get to the judges' scorecards, you probably get some better value on decision. So if you play that one, good luck. So back to the main event here. This fight, wow. I mean, so if you've been following me, if you know me, you know I had a nice pile of cash on Alistair Overeem when he fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik back in December. And I'm still not over it. Still not over it. I don't think I'm ever going to like Jairzinho Rozenstruik because of that damn fight. Alistair Overeem fought the perfect fight, the picture-perfect fight for 25 minutes. 24 minutes and 56 seconds. Jairzinho Rozenstruik closed the entire length of the octagon and landed one gigantic bomb that split Alistair's face clean open. I do think that it was a tad premature of a stoppage. If the referee had let it go just 2 seconds more, we make it to the judges' scorecards. He wasn't out. He wasn't unconscious. Yes, his face was busted open. It looked bad, but he was standing up. And Jairzinho sold it. Running off with his hands up, he sold that walk-off knockout. That was a bit of a tongue twister. He sold it, got the knockout win there. And I'm pretty pissed about losing that one because I had the perfect read on that fight. Alistair Overeem isn't done, folks. He's simply not done. The Demolition Man is like Captain America. He just doesn't get old. I'm not sure how he does it, but somehow he is still going. He's 39 years old. He's not quite at that 40-year-old point yet. Yes, he's been knocked out 14 times in MMA, but I don't know if it's the drugs he's been on his entire life. I don't know if it's the horse meat. Somehow he rebounds. He's very intelligent. He knows that he can't stand toe-to-toe and brawl with these big, heavy punchers these days. He was trying to be very technical against Blades, Ngannou, and Rozenstruik, and he had a very good showing against all of them until the big shot came. And that's really all this fight comes down to is, can Walt Harris land that big shot? Walt Harris is a middle-of-the-road heavyweight. I've never been impressed with him. He's extremely athletic. He's got solid wrestling, and he hits like a freaking truck. But he's 13-7. If you can get by that power, if you can out-finesse this guy, you can absolutely beat him. He's been knocked out twice. He's been submitted once. And every single time he's gone to the judges' scorecard, he loses. 100% knockout rate. 13 wins, all by KO. He's on a good run right now. He's got 4 knockout wins in a row. Andrei Arlovsky's was overturned because he popped for performance-enhancing drugs, so they're not letting him count that one, but the reality is he's knocked out 4 dudes back-to-back-to-back. But at what level of quality are those dudes? Daniel Spitz, old Andrei Arlovsky, Sergey Spivak, who is questionable, and then Alexei Olenek, who is also extremely old and has no chin. So he's knocked out older, chinnier fighters, and that's his winning streak right now. Before that, I mean, he got DQ'd against Mark Godbeer, which, again, very questionable fighter. That's not a good level of competition either, but he got snapped up by Fabricio Verdum and submitted all the way back in 2017. Now, that was a long time ago, but basically what I'm getting at here is we have no idea how good Walt Harris is. We have no idea how good Walt is. He could have made leaps and bounds improvements in the last couple of years. His striking could absolutely be on point. Maybe he's a monster now and we just don't know it. But from his resume, you can't tell that he's worthy of being in a cage with Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem is the most decorated heavyweight striker on the planet. He's an incredible striker. He's got a good Brazilian jiu-jitsu and wrestling base. He knows how to stay alive in those positions as well. My only issue is that this is a 5-round fight. Alistair Overeem gassed out hard in round 5 against Jairzinho, and that was really his undoing. He wasn't able to hold Jairzinho down. He did go for a submission and wasn't able to lock that up either, unfortunately. I thought he was going to tap him out. I really, really did. He can submit Walt Harris. He absolutely can. But I don't know if he can take Walt Harris down. Walt is a physically powerful, younger wrestler, and it's going to make it very, very difficult for Alistair Overeem to get him on the mat and keep him there once he is there. And then if he does get a submission opportunity, I don't know if he's going to be able to outstrength Walt Harris for like an arm bar. He's not going to go for an arm bar because he's not going to go on his back. Is he going to get Walt's back for a rear naked choke? I don't think so. So it's going to be like a Kimura or something like that he goes for. And I don't know if he can just outstrength Walt Harris to pull that kind of a submission off. So if we eliminate the ground option, that means Alistair Overeem has to strike with Walt Harris for 25 minutes. Walt Harris has been knocked out twice before, and Alistair Overeem has very good head movement. He's going to have a significant reach advantage here. He has an 80-inch reach to Walt Harris's 77, so 3 inches. It's not nothing. And when you look at the stats, over the course of Overeem's gigantic storied career, he averages 3.54 significant strikes a minute. He only absorbs 2.17. So he is more often than not getting hit. Very, very finessey, if that's even a word. And then Walt Harris, he gives what he gets. He averages 2.96 significant strikes per minute, much lower workout rate. And then he absorbs 2.68, meaning he's just barely outstriking his very low level of competition opponents. This is dogger pass for me. Danny, no. The Reem is old. The Reem is chinny. But he's intelligent enough in his old age to work around it. So if that didn't come across, that's what I meant. He knows his limitations. But that's the problem. That's the exact problem here. I don't think Walt Harris deserves to be a minus 160 favorite over Alistair Overeem. I don't think he's earned it. I don't think he has the credentials to prove that he should be. This is another spot where Alistair Overeem is just the better fighter everywhere. Everywhere you go except for specific wrestling, Alistair Overeem is the better fighter. But that chin. If Walt Harris, big, explosive, can just close the distance, if he can do exactly what Jairzinho did, land that one big bomb, this fight is over. So for me, this is going to be dog or pass. I'm very, very tempted to bet Alistair Overeem again, simply because of how he handled the Jairzinho fight. He did exactly what he needed to do in that fight. But I don't know if I can pull the trigger on this one because of the wrestling of Walt Harris. If Alistair Overeem can't mix those takedowns in, he can't protect himself. So if he gets clipped, if he gets hurt, if he gets rocked in any way, I think Harris is going to get him. The last piece of the puzzle is we've got to talk about Walt Harris's daughter. Again, I want to be as respectful as possible for this. What happened to her was an absolute travesty. As a father, I have a daughter myself, cannot imagine what he went through. I got to wonder where his mental state's at. This fight was scheduled all the way back in December, and it got canceled because of what happened with his daughter. Fair enough. They rescheduled it for early 2020. I thought he was going to come back like a bat out of hell. I thought Walt Harris was going to have that righteous fury with him, take out all of his energy on his training partners, and come in looking for Alistair Overeem's head. But since then, the COVID-19 crisis has happened, and this fight got massively postponed. It's been months. So Alistair Overeem's chin has had time to heal from his loss from Jairzinho Rozenstruik. This isn't a fast turnaround for him anymore. That's a point for Overeem. Walt Harris has been back to the drawing board. He went through that hard time with his daughter, and now he's had nothing to do but sit and stew on it for months. I can't imagine getting up and going to the gym in that circumstance. I'd be useless. And obviously, these are professional MMA fighters. They are much stronger than me, mentally and physically. But I don't know what kind of motivation he has. A lot of his Instagram stuff, he's not posting a whole lot of training information. It's hard to get a read on where Walt Harris is at. And if he's at all shaken by the process of losing his daughter, he's not going to be even the level that he was the last time we saw him. And if that's the case, he will be easy pickings for Overeem. Granville says, Walt first round KO, don't overthink it. I overthink everything. Let me tell you that, Grant. I absolutely overthink everything. It's what I do. You're right. Harris absolutely might be able to land that round 1 KO, but I mean, Jairzinho wasn't able to, and Jairzinho is a much more credentialed striker than Walt Harris is. This line smells trappy to me. Every once in a while, the bookie puts a line out there that you're like, that's too good to be true. And that's what this one smells like to me. Danny, I'll be waiting on Walt inside the distance for sure. Give Walt 25 minutes of a stand-up where he can find that chin. Agreed. Rather than laying the wood on him straight, taking him inside the distance might save you a couple bucks. But I mean, this might be one where the bookie's wise to that. And instead of being minus 160, you get minus 125. I don't know. I don't know if it'll be worth it. If you get a plus sign next to it, though, definitely. Jordan says Harris first round KO. Again, you very well might be right. His explosive athletic ability, if he manages to put Alistair Overeem on his heels, if he can take down Alistair, which Alistair's got pretty damn good takedown defense too, so that's another thing that I'm very concerned with. 73%. And if you recall, he's fought guys like Brock Lesnar. But, you know, he fought Curtis Blades. And Curtis Blades took him down a lot. And that was that was the end for him. So if Walt comes in with a wrestling heavy takedown, wrestling heavy game plan, I definitely think that is going to be in his favor. And I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for Alistair, because if he drains that gas tank, Walt Harris might be able to clip him late. However, we haven't seen Walt Harris go the distance very many times. He did go the distance with Andrei Arlovsky. I apologize. I recall that being a knockout for some reason. He finishes all of his fights, and these are low-level fighters. I don't know if he's got 25 rounds of gas in him, so he might have to get the knockout. I don't know. This one scares me. This one scares me, folks. Thank you all so much for sticking with me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. Going live, doing this kind of a breakdown was a good time. Check out the links below when this thing hits YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at DieHardMMAPod. I'm all about positivity. I'm all about trying to make that connection with people, so I'm fun to hang out with and talk to. I love responding to questions and things like that, so hit me up on over there. Take a look at odds.com. Do me a favor. Check out my MMA articles over there. It will help me out a ton. And then this is a one-man show, and I put a crap ton of work into this thing to give you all the best show I can and all the free information I can, as well as all of my picks and bets. I'm never going to charge you for a damn thing. Just doesn't feel right to me. But if you want to support the show, tips and donations are always appreciated. It goes a long way to help me keep this thing rolling and improve for you all. Thank you all so much for joining in. And let's go over those bets. The only two right now that I have locked in: Angela Overkill Hill at plus 168, Dan Egay at plus 110. Very fond of both of those spots. I am looking very, very hard at playing Eric Anders as a dog. I'm going to play Song Yadong. It's just a matter of how. I am looking at playing Baeza, and I am looking at playing Mike Davis. Those are my leans. Keep an eye on Twitter for when I make those official. Good luck on your action tomorrow. I will be on Twitter. I will be watching those fights live. So let's enjoy those things together. Subscribe, hit the notification buttons if you haven't already. And until next time, folks, let's roll.